Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here, coming at you today in Clash Royale with a very, very special episode. I am here in this clan right now called King of Clash for a reason. That's because you can see the leaderboard right now. I have Zed, the #1 player in the entire world, with me today. Some of you may know him from my previous Trifecta video. I saw that on TV Royale. I messaged him on Twitter. We kind of struck up a friendship, chatted a little bit about Royale, and he said, hey, if you ever want to do some replays about the deck that I use when I'm periodically #1 in the entire world, I'd be happy to share that with you. So that's what we're going to do today, and I do have a special announcement coming at the end of today's video, so stay tuned for that as well. Now this match is really, really special for another reason. At the time of this match, Zed was #1 in the world, and the guy he's playing right here, I don't even know how to say his name, but that guy, the red guy, he is #2 in the world. We'll take a look at the standings, and we'll kind of take a look at Zed's deck as well. This is a minor deck, and I was able to sit down and ask Zed a bunch of questions about this deck. So if you guys want to try it out, I have a plethora of strategy tips for you guys to use to hopefully get the best bang for your buck if you do decide to give this deck a whirl. So today, with Zed's help, the top player in the world, we're going to go ahead and hopefully try to make you guys kind of refine and maybe hopefully improve your game using this type of a minor deck as well. Now this is Zed's go-to absolute favorite deck. I showed you Zed playing the Trifecta a couple videos ago. He was really good at it, but he said whenever he hits #1 in global, 9 times out of 10, this is the deck that gets him there. So this is exactly the deck. Let's kind of give the strategy keys for the deck over this first replay, and then we'll kind of move into a more play-by-play format throughout the next 2 replays that I'm going to bring you guys by Zed here. So I asked Zed 4 questions, all having to do with strategy and specifically revolving around this deck. So the first question is, what is your absolute main #1 offensive combination? In other words, what offensive combo most often takes down one of your enemy's towers and secures you the win in the game? And he said mainly his offense all comes from defense, and you really hear this with most decks, but more specifically, he said what he's really trying to do offensively is get a miner down, tanking for a Minion Horde, and having zap ready. That's really the trifecta, forgive the phrase, but it's really the trifecta that he's looking to pull off on these towers. So again, you can see here he's using the miner, doing a little bit of tanking for these guards here, and the guards might not look like much, but I'm sure we've all been there, that guards can definitely take down a tower, as you saw them do there. And again, using Minion Horde very smoothly defensively here. He has the mini P.E.K.K.A. and the minions on that giant, able to take down the #2 player in the game. Now, I know some of you guys are saying, hey, it's easy with max cards, but everybody has max cards at the global leaderboard. This guy, Zed, is consistently top 5 in the game. In fact, he's been #1 in the game for 3 days straight now. Granted, we're only, I think, a week or so into the season, so it's not the end of the season, but his high trophies are 52, right around 5,200, so that's really, really high. So Zed definitely knows what he's doing, especially with this, his favorite deck. So now let's kind of move on to the second question I asked Zed. So the second question was, if you could give one tip that really gets to the heart of what this deck is all about and what you're trying to do with it, what would it be? So in other words, what is this deck all about? What makes it so effective? What is the biggest key to the deck overall? And his answer was pretty simple. You gain an elixir advantage while trying to make them misuse spells so you can pull off the Minion Horde and miner combination. And as you can see on the screen here, the guy that he just beat was indeed #2 in the world right now. So a very impressive victory. #1 on top of the world and #2 right below him. So let's kind of move on here to his next match, and we'll see him try to go against a different deck. Now, you see a lot of these triple P decks here with the maxed out P.E.K.K.A. All these matches will have totally maxed out rares, epics, legendaries, commons, everything. So you're really seeing the top of the top gameplay here. And again here, kind of waiting for the opponent to make the first move here, Zed is, by playing some guards in the back of the King Tower, hoping to combo them with something. He decides to combo them with the miner in the left lane there, kind of doing 2 things at once there. #1, getting a few hits on that tower. #2, seeing what his opponent would counter his miner with. It's always valuable early on to see what your opponent does to your miner, so you don't always have to go 100% all out against your opponent. Sometimes just poke and prod a little bit to start out the match, see what your cards your opponent has, see how they play them. So here you can see the free spell comboed with the P.E.K.K.A. He's going to get 2 hits on that that tower, and it's going to do a lot of damage with that max level 8 epic P.E.K.K.A. Now, this is the combo he's looking for here. He has the Minion Horde with the Miner, but unfortunately, the opponent just narrowly got the Wizard on the board there. So right off the bat here, in this match, Zed is in a little bit of a deficit, but he's going to come back in full force. Now, remember, what he's trying to do here is two basic things, right? Number one is establish and maintain the elixir advantage, so you can tell right now he's trying to get this pump on the board. And number two, he's trying to obviously bait out some spells from his opponent. He wants them to play the zap. He wants them to play the arrows, whatever they're using, so he can capitalize with that Minion Horde. So just Johnny on the spot here with the cannon, kind of subduing this hog here, and now he has the elixir advantage that he wanted. So at this point, he can kind of play it cool here, try to get a nice minor combination off of this next defense. Now, this princess over here in the left lane is going to present a lot of value for Zed here. In fact, look at this. The princess takes 3 or 4 hits on that left tower, doing a lot of damage, actually catching him up in the overall damage done to the towers in this match. So now he has the minions on the P.E.K.K.A, and look at that, guys. He just got what he wanted right there. Of course, he doesn't have Minion Horde up on his cards right now, though, so instead he reloads with another elixir collector. He baited the arrows out, but he didn't have the minions ready, so he wants to bait those arrows out again and then try to capitalize. But you can see, now that he's established this elixir advantage, he's continuing just to poke and prod on that left tower using the Miner solo with the princess. In the meantime, he's able to establish that nice defensive buffer with the elixir advantage, which has allowed him to really concentrate defensively on the right there and continually just jabbing away with the princess and the Miner on the left. Now let me get to the other two questions that I asked Zed. I kind of got sidetracked there. So I asked him one of my favorite questions, and that is, what is the most common mistake you see players using when using this deck? And he said, by far, it's just using the Miner at inopportune times and not getting a lot of value out of that Miner. So basically, if you know your opponent has an elixir pump in their deck, you definitely want to save your Miner so you can target that elixir pump, or at least combo the Miner with a bunch of troops going from that defense to that offensive surge. If you know your opponent has an elixir collector and you're using your Miner by himself just to kind of jab at a tower, that's a big waste of your Miner, and you won't be able to cycle fast enough to get to the opponent's elixir collector, thereby giving them the elixir advantage. The other mistake he said he sees people make a lot with these Miner decks, especially if they're trying to combo them with the Minion Horde, is he sees people playing the Minion Horde at the wrong time. You can't play the Minion Horde when you know your opponent can take it down for a positive elixir trade. Now, of course, it's going to happen from time to time, and it's going to happen early on in matches before you've scouted out your opponent's entire deck, but you have to know that the Minion Horde is one of your most powerful weapons, and always know where your opponent's cycle is in terms of direct damage spells that can counter your Horde. So those are the two biggest mistakes he sees people making when trying to use a deck like this. If you just can't get the Minion Horde down for whatever reason, try just adding minions instead. That way you're not that susceptible to those really negative value trades if you just can't get the hang of monitoring what direct damage spells and when they use them that your opponent has. Okay, so while you watch this last match, let me go ahead and finish up the Q&A portion of the video. And the last question I asked him, another question I like asking top players, because I do find that a lot of decks have a little bit of a different strategy feel, whether it's the first 2 minutes or the last minute of the match. Now, Zed said this deck is not one of those decks necessarily. There's only one change that Zed is doing in the final minute versus the first 2 minutes of the match, and that is placing the princess on the bridge, being very aggressive with the princess during the final minute. And that really applies to any deck using the princess. I mean, think about it. When you see top players play, they never open the match with the princess on the bridge. They always open the match with if they're going to play the princess, they open the match with the princess behind the king tower. And that's what you want to do during the first 2 minutes. During the last minute, you can be aggressive and start chipping away at the tower that already has low damage. Try to take it down when the opponent is trying to focus on getting your tower down, especially if it's a tie game. Now, most of these matches are a 1-0 victory here for Zed. Obviously, he's playing a Miner deck. It's not one of these huge power decks, unlike the decks that he's going against here. The decks that are absolutely dominating the top 200, top 100 are a lot of these P.E.K.K.A decks, a lot of Prince decks, and Zed is just getting by very, very well with just this classic Miner deck. That's his bread and butter, and you can kind of see throughout this episode why he's so good with it. He picks his spots. You can see he placed the princess on the bridge there, able to get a lot of damage onto that left tower. He was ready with a zap spell for the Goblin Barrel. Interesting deck that he's going playing against right here, by the way. You might want to give that one a try too. It looks kind of cool, very defensively minded. It seems like it could be a good tournament deck as well, kind of similar to Oleg's deck. But I did say, guys, that I have an announcement for you guys at the end of this episode, and we are nearing the conclusion. So the big announcement is I've gotten both Jordan and Zed to agree to go mono-e-mono, head-to-head in a Trifecta showdown, best of 3 match. So I will be bringing that to you later this week or this coming weekend. So stay tuned for that. It should be a really entertaining match. I'm excited to watch it, and cheers to both of these guys for being such good sports. I mean, you know, it's tricky to go in front of tens of thousands of people and know that if you lose, you're going to be, you know, judged, and if you win, you're going to be a hero. But, you know, to be honest with you, both these guys are amazing, excellent players, so it's going to be truly a pleasure to share that result with you guys. So thank you so much, Zed, for doing this. I'm going to go ahead and link his Twitter below in the description if you want to follow him, maybe get some tips from him, or even just say hello. Don't be afraid to do so. He's a great guy, very nice and friendly dude as well. So guys, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it as always, and as always, take care, guys.